So we're back live at SOCAP, and I have here. I'm just kneeling because our setup is for me and one other person, but we have two people who have come by for the interview who have been working together with me on a amazing project, and want to share information about that. But let's introduce our two guests. Andrea McGrath and Mark Medema. And Andrea, I'll let you, each of you, briefly say kind of what you do in the world.
Sure. Okay, I'll be quite brief. Oh, are you holding it? I apologize. So I am a consultant. I work in the social enterprise space, mostly with nonprofit and for-profit social enterprises, but I also work with a number of funders and consultants and all the great robust ecosystem that we have in Boston. And Laurie and I met from collaborating on a chapter together that's coming out on sustainable entrepreneurship, and he fortunately called me and said, how do you think about collaborating again? So that brought us here.
Mark.
We have just launched a new charter school facility center at the National Alliance for Public Charter Schools. And one of the big questions we've asked ourselves is impact investing in charter schools? Are they a match? Are they a pair? And so that's why you might see a charter school person sitting here next to some impact investing experts.
We at Impact Entrepreneur have been working with the Alliance and Mark for quite a few months on this project to just kind of lay out for the 7,000 public charter schools around the country, what is the impact investing space? What are the different instruments, different types of funding that are available to charter schools? And how can charter schools best position themselves to attract new and different forms of capital and funding to support their educational missions? Mark, you were actually the one who proposed this project to us, and I'd be interested to know what was the need that you and the Alliance and the Center were identifying that gave kind of birth to this idea that we need a report that we can circulate to the schools.
Charter schools own real estate. They have about $40 to $50 billion worth of real estate assets across the country, and it's financed through a variety of mechanisms. Impact investing doesn't seem to be one of the top mechanisms to finance this. And so we've asked ourselves the question why, and we've seen, meaning through you and others, we've seen impact investing play a significant role in a lot of other social sectors, and we've wondered what the disconnect was and why impact investing in charter schools don't seem to be part of the same conversation today. So we thought, well, let's try and learn more about that, and there's an introduction that needs to happen between charter schools and impact investors. And we thought, first of all, let's talk to the charter school community and let them know about the impact investing space. And that was our first initiative, and you played a great role in producing that report, which gave 20 recommendations, and now we have to figure out, can we actually follow through on 20 recommendations? So we have a lot of work ahead of us.
Yeah, so I want to get to kind of follow up from the report and kind of next steps for the schools and for the Alliance. But I want to dig into the report a little bit in terms of the substance and the process that we did in terms of research and some interesting findings from that. And I'm going to turn to Andrea to give us some of that background, because she was the lead researcher in this project and spent quite a few weeks delving into that landscape. For those of you who are interested in seeing this report, you can download it on our website. It's www.impactalchemist.com. The domain is right up there. Andrea, tell us about the process of researching for this report. What are some of the key takeaways for you? And what was it like also to produce what I consider to be a kind of one of the first reports that looked at a sector and introduced that sector to this fast emerging impact investing space that many people in that sector are completely unfamiliar with?
Thanks. So it was interesting. It definitely was iterative. I think we'd all three agree. You know, we started with Mark's premise and just started researching to see what's out there. You know, and for me, that knew a little bit about the charter space was really diving into what's the financing landscape. We did more introductory things at first that got taken out, and talked to a number of people that were, you know, I would say that are current financiers, mostly CDFIs or some specialized funders, and it just started bubbling up, I think, among all of us. But I just thought, wow, I'm seeing this alignment between, my analogy was kind of what we see in community investment, right? So building on this core expertise of folks that have been doing the financing, doing the lending, and thinking about now what we're seeing in that space is people really doing expansions around sectors, you know, to do deeper dives. And this just kind of bubbled up to me that way. And when we did a lot of researching on impact investing in education, you know, the first hits are really all the things that are mostly around, you know, blended learning models and ed tech. I mean, that seems to be kind of preeminent. And I think the things around spaces and places seemed like a good opportunity. So, and Mark was a great thought partner, I would say. Both of you were, right? But we did kind of iterate a little bit, wondering where our focus was, on the charters, on the investors. But that was really it. And I'll say one more point and then turn it over. But and I thought of it because Creighton Institute is here, which we highlighted that report in ours. But there are folks doing some really interesting specific looks at spaces to tee up what's been done, what's the expertise, what are the investments, and where's the opportunity. And I think we saw that analogy or possibility here.
Great. So Mark, let's talk about kind of what your hope is that this report, as it gets disseminated, what that will have with the charter school movement, and specifically charter schools and their effort to develop find new forms of funding to meet the various challenges that they have, whether it be facilities needs or pedagogical needs, etc.
We'd like to see eventually an equitable landscape where charter schools are playing at the same level with traditional public schools. Traditional public schools are able to access capital much cheaper. They have the bond market and taxing authority. We think charter schools, well, the students at charter schools should have the same benefits as the students at traditional public schools. And we think impact investing can help us bring it to there, where people are still going to get a financial return. They're seeing social good. And we think there's a lot of capital out there. So that's the end goal. Now, how we get there, I think we still have a lot of learning to do. And I think charter schools are good at teaching students. They're good at training teachers. They've been good at teaching foundations about the space. And now they need to take the next step and help teach the impact investing space about what charter schools are. I think there's just a lot of unknowns between the two groups right there. So there's a lot of this education process that we're going to have to go through. And just looking around at SOCAP, we see that with the energy sectors and a lot of food sustainability issues. All of them had to go through the same process. And now it's just charter schools' turn to go through it too.
Great. Well, thank you both for stopping by and sharing a little bit about this, the report and the project. And I think that it's not only interesting for people, whether they be entrepreneurs in the educational space or people working in academia and in charter schools specifically, but also for funders who are interested in educational investing, but also just for people in the impact investing space to see how a sector like charter schools can engage with this really exciting space that we're a part of and that SOCAP is championing. So thank you both for coming.